2495 267 237 2495.
Looking for the freshest, top-quality meats in town? Come to Meatmaster, your neighborhood kosher butcher shop in Hollywood. Premium cuts of beef, chicken, lamb, and more. Kosher under ORB supervision. Perfect for BBQs, family dinners, or any occasion. Whether you're a grill master or just love great meat, Meatmaster is your go-to destination. Taste the difference today. Visit us in Hollywood, Florida. Call now to place your order. 75446-55461. Follow us on social media for weekly specials. Meatmaster, where quality meets tradition.
הצטרפו ל-Heroes for Israel Project ליום עוצמתי של אחדות וזיכרון בצעדת Take a Walk for October 7th המתקיים ביום ראשון 5 באוקטובר בשעה 9 בבוקר בפארק קרלין שבג'ופיטר, פלורידה. נוקיר את זכר קורבנות ה7 באוקטובר, את גיבורינו שנפלו, ונעמוד בסולידריות עם קהילת עוטף ישראל. האירוע המיוחד הזה יכלול שידור חי של הרדיו הישראלי היהודי מהשטח, שותפים קהילתיים, אל תחכו, יירשמו כבר היום כדי לשריין את קבוצתכם, את החולצות שלכם ואת מקומכם בצעדה הבלתי נשכחת הזו. בקרו באתר www.heroesforisraelproject.org כדי להירשם עכשיו.
The Israeli spirit is coming back to Hollywood, Florida. Join thousands from across America and our local community for speakers, culture, and connection you'll never forget. No need to travel. It's all happening here. This is the event everyone will be talking about. Secure your tickets today at IAC360.org.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Today is actually going to be a little bit different. I know originally we had actually said in the Facebook group that we are going to give a replay of one of my AI for Leaders Summit talks, which was fantastic. It was with an amazing gentleman named Moise Nabon, and I know I have shared about that with all of you. So actually, we will be giving that replay at a later date. And today, again, we're doing a little pivot on the fly. Nissan could not be with me here today, and so instead, we are going to talk a little bit about something that I've touched upon here and there, which is 4 AI policies that really every business owner should have and should be considering today in order to keep up and make sure you protect your business. And really important topic. So I'm really excited, as always, to be here today with all of you. And we are just going to jump in to what we've got going on today. So the thing that I wanted to share when I had the opportunity to learn that I would have the stage tonight all by myself, because unfortunately Nissan couldn't be here with me today, is, like I said, the 4 AI policies that I think every business owner really needs to consider. 3 are a must for absolutely every business owner, and 1 really depends on whether or not you have an online presence and what that online presence looks like. So let's just get into it. So of course, everybody knows we've talked week over week about just how much the world is changing, how I really believe so strongly that we as Jews, with the amazing influence and the disproportionate contribution we make in this world and in life, that we really all have a responsibility to learn AI, to become at least AI literate, if not AI fluent. And I believe very strongly that becoming AI fluent, we have amazing minds who will do some incredible things. The other thing that we really, need to take this to is whether or not you want or intend to become AI literate or AI fluent. It's really important for business owners to understand that you must be thinking about AI and how it's impacting your business. I know as I deal with different organizations, I have leaders who often will say to me, you know what? It's not a thing I need to worry about. I'm not using it, so not an issue. But the thing is, even if you're not using it as a business owner or a business leader, you have to know that people in your organization are very likely using AI, or vendors that you work with, or assistants, or whatever it is. So you really cannot bury your head in the sand. Super important. So I'm going to jump in, like I said, to the 4 policies, 3 of which are a must for every business, whether you have an online presence or not. The 4th really is for business owners that do have a digital presence. And then I may give you a little bonus about AI for content creators, depending on how our timing looks today. All right, so the first of the policies is an AI use policy. This is kind of like an internal guidebook, and it's going to tell your team what's allowed when it comes to using AI. It's going to give some feedback and information on what tools are considered okay, what kind of content maybe they can generate, or how they can use AI, if there is a process or a protocol within your organization for approval of using an AI tool, or what can go in or come out of AI. These are the things that are going to be laid out in your AI policy. And you also may have some information about the business itself, give a little bit about that, a little bit of background, why AI is important. It really kind of depends on what your business is. But this policy really, at the end of the day, it's going to also include, if you are using AI for client-facing work, there's generally should be some kind of approval process. It's going to help you avoid reputational risk because, poor quality or incorrect and off-brand outputs will be problematic. And if people are using AI and they don't have guardrails or any kind of training, that is very much a high-level risk. And also, people are not going to understand, again, kind of what can go in or come out of AI. If you have proprietary, information, things you want to safeguard, client information, you really need to let your people know what can go in and what can come out. And I will tell you, I worked with an organization not too long ago, and they, told me, we don't think our people are using it. We've blocked these, sites on our computers, and they have business-issued computers. And as I started to dig in, this is actually pretty shocking. There were a couple of employees that had admitted to me. I'm going to leave the name of the organization out of this, of course, but there were a couple of employees who actually admitted to me that they would, on their phone or on their personal laptop, go put in some questions that they had, so that it was outside of their business's universe, and then use that information in.
Just add new music to your playlists. If you need help or to learn more about AzureCast, visit azuracast.com.
To answer and deal, never catch it. I was actually pretty shocked that some of these employees opened up to me and shared that with me, but it was so powerful, and it really helped to have the business see what was at risk. So really important. Another thing that you may not, realize or think is that when you put these kinds of policies in place, you can really support kind of giving your team and employees a little bit of rest to their anxiety, because there is a lot of, fear out there of being replaced or, misuse that impacts the morale and the work product. So if your employees and the people you work with understand that this is something you're thinking about, and you're training them on how to use it, how to use AI and tools and platforms correctly, it can really alleviate a lot of this. And in doing so, you can also help to free up your employees to do things that are, more creative and really need employees, empower them to do bigger, better, be more responsible kind of things, and use AI for more automation and outputs, and so it really can be very helpful. So a clear AI business policy is really going to establish the boundaries, the expectations, and set the cultural context, turning AI really into a trusted ally instead of, a loose cannon for your organization. So that is policy number one, is an AI business policy. And again, I think absolutely every organization needs to have one in place. Now, depending on the amount of time we have here, I may circle back and give you a little bit more, some ideas and thoughts on each one, but I'm going to just quickly go through the four, and then we can go from there, depending on time permitting. So AI policy number two, or policy number two that you want to have in place in this AI era as a business owner. So it's a privacy policy. You may already have a privacy policy in place depending on the type of business and organization you are, but even if you do, if it's not something that has really been looked at or considered since AI has really come into play, you're going to want to give that another look. And that holds true for the other policies I'm going to mention here today as well. So, your privacy policy generally, it's going to live on a website, but there are other organizations and business types that may also be sending these out, mailing them out, putting information about your privacy policy in agreements and contracts. So you really want to think about this. And, if you're using AI for anything that involves client or any kind of user data, this is a policy that is going to need to be updated or put in place if you have not done so already. Really, really important. And I'm going to say here, a generic boilerplate privacy policy is not going to cut it anymore. There certainly was a time that we saw that a lot, but it's just not the way things work anymore. So you're going to really want to give this some thought, update it to reflect what's true and real in your business. People really deserve to know if their information might touch an AI tool, even if behind the scenes. And what I'm finding is that clients and customers and the different providers that you're working with, they're really, it's starting to be a commercial expectation to have these things in place and to have given it some thought. So I strongly encourage you, a privacy policy. Again, if you have one already, give it another look. If you don't have one at all, it is time to give it some thought, for sure. Okay, now, policy number 3. This is going to be a non-disclosure agreement, a confidentiality agreement, and in many instances, I really encourage that there be some kind of non-compete portion within that agreement. And again, like the others, I'm going to tell you, if you have one in place or you use one regularly, but it's been in place for a long time and you haven't changed it, you're going to want to revisit and take a look. So, we're really entering a world where your contractor could train ChatGPT with your IP and then use it elsewhere without realizing that it could be a problem. You need updated legal protections that reflect this new terrain, and confidentiality is of the utmost importance when it comes to that. So generally speaking, these days, an NDA should include an explicit clause for AI-related confidentiality and make it very clear. Another thing here, I know that there are some states and some areas where people will, not understand or will say to me that, a non-compete is not a worthwhile or enforceable agreement. And there are some states that it is very limited what can happen with a non-compete. So I'm going to also give you a little bit about that. It's, number one, a great deterrent. When you put this kind of clause in an agreement that you work with people, they're going to think twice about what they do with the information that they work with you on. Another thing is that really what will impact how enforceable it is will be how restrictive you make it. You cannot put an agreement in place that makes somebody unable to, do their type of business at all, right? You can't go and say, if you're working with me, you can't work with anybody and do what you do, what you've been trained to do. It's true. That's not going to be enforceable. But if you make it more strict and limited and really narrow it down to the work that someone does with you and for you, you're going to have a much more higher likelihood that this agreement is going to be worthwhile for you. But regardless, it really does have a very strong deterrence value. And I, again, really encourage you, any one of these any issue, you really want to go and have a non-compete and a confidentiality agreement in place as relates to your business. And number 4, this is website terms and conditions. So this, there are some businesses these days with no online or digital presence. That's why I said 3 of these are a must, which are the first 3 we covered: the AI use policy, the privacy policy, and the non-disclosure agreement. But website terms and conditions, if you have no digital presence and no online presence, not an issue. But if you do, this is something you absolutely need, no matter what you do. And if you have an old one, or one of the many, many businesses that copied and pasted from a different organization, you're really going to want to revisit that now. Because if you are using AI anywhere in your back end, let's say to analyze user behavior, generate recommendations, or even serve content, you really want that reflected in your terms. This is going to protect you, and it's going to set the right expectations. Super, super important. You also, it used to be that people would say, "Oh, just go and copy it off of another website." We're at the point now that you're not necessarily going to find this information or language that you would need on just any other website that you're going to find, because it's the beginning. But you will also, I really believe, be looked at very respected as an innovator and on top of your game as a business if you have this happening. And so go ahead, really consider it. Take a look. Website terms and conditions. Any business that has an online presence. And again, if you've had the same terms and conditions for however long, it's time to give it a really good look. Now, my optional add-on that I mentioned I would get into is AI for content creators, right? This is something that any content creator really needs to be thinking about. You may or may not be thinking about it already, but you need to understand that what you put in, what you get out, what you're using, really so important right now. The rules and regulations are changing. Ownership, you need to really be giving thought to who owns the AI-generated content or the AI-enhanced content. You cannot just go and, take for granted the fact that if you work with an AI platform and you create something, that you really have the right to it. Because, and we've touched on this in some of our previous segments, AI and these platforms were all and continue to be trained based on information that is out there and publicly available, much of which, frankly, was copyrighted. And so what has been put in infringes on someone else's rights. So you may generate something and not even realize that you are impacting somebody else, and what you got is actually not something that was created by you or even AI, enhanced. And in fact, you do not have a real right or a legal right to the information and what you've generated. So it's really something you want to consider, especially as a content creator. Disclaimers: any content creator or even some of the other businesses that are not in the content creation game, you are going to want to disclaim if you are, especially if you're giving advice that was generated with AI, but if you're creating something. So for those of you who may have participated in my AI for Leaders Summit or have availed yourself of some of the workbooks and information and content that I create, you will see I always put some language in there. I'm really upfront. Hey, this was created and, enhanced with AI, reviewed and approved by me, or created by me and enhanced by AI, and always reviewed and approved by me or someone else on my team. It's very clearly there, and it should be. People should understand that. And you need to also think about visibility, how to disclose or not disclose when AI is involved in what you are generating. Really, really important points. So I think we've touched on some really important things for our business owners to think about. Again, four policies. 3, everybody needs to have. 1, AI use policy. 2, a privacy policy. 3, a non-disclosure agreement that includes some non-competition language. And 4, website terms and conditions in the event you are a online business and have some kind of digital presence. And lastly, if you're a content creator, you really want to start giving some thought to what you put in, what you get out, and what your rights are to those, and what you express to people about what you're using. So if you haven't addressed these 4 core areas yet, now is the time. Get ahead of it. You do not need to do it all overnight, but you do need to start, and you need to start considering it. So if you're not sure where to begin, of course, you can reach out. I'm going to say, I didn't say it before, this is not legal advice. You really want to get specific advice to your business, but these are really important things for you all to think about. So this is, again, exactly the kind of work that I do with organizations every day. Finds me on the Israeli Radio Group Facebook page. Reach out if you have specific questions. Really thrilled to answer and to support any of you out there in making it easier to do these things. It does not have to be difficult at all. And as always, I am honored and privileged to be here on Israeli Jewish Radio. And next week, we are going to finally announce the winners of our Amazon gift cards. And with that, I bid you all adieu. Next week, we should be back to our regularly scheduled programming with Nissan and myself. I hope you all got tremendous value. Thank you so much.